Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Here's Eddie Frederick.
Welcome to Caribbean Perspective. So glad you can join us. The story that takes the lead in today's edition for Friday, 6th of December 2024 and brought to you in association with our friends at Antillean Group. Jamaica nears republic status. Details after this important message.
Believe in our strength, we'll stand by you. Protection from all, perils big and small. Reassurance we give, it's so glad to see. Peace of mind, that's our service guarantee. We look after all our family. Yes, we do at every opportunity.
Antillean Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.
Welcome back. No more King of England and Republic status soon? A referendum is looming after the stages in Parliament are completed. More in this TVJ News item with Dwayne Anderson.
Very interesting day in Parliament today. So today's announcement was sort of an early Christmas gift for many Jamaicans, many of whom have been arguing that Jamaica can't truly be independent until it strips itself of the remaining colonial ties, namely having the King of England as head of state. Now, the update on this ongoing process was provided by Constitutional Affairs Minister Marlene Malahou Fort.
I am pleased to inform this Honourable House and the people of Jamaica that review of the bill to amend the Constitution is far advanced. It is quite possible to complete the remaining steps and have the bill tabled as early as next week. As early as next week, before the Christmas break.
No, the bill coming to the lower house is one thing, but completing the process, there will be another long, relatively long process lasting months. And at the end of that, hundreds of thousands of Jamaicans will ultimately have the final say on which direction the country goes.
We have not had a referendum in independent Jamaica. And there are talks all over of the challenges that the holding of a referendum pose. But there is no escaping the approval of the people in order to make the changes to achieve the agreed national goals.
So really, what is the timeline we're looking at before the referendum? Well, based on our checks, we are looking at another 8 to 10 months, and that would take us right up around September next year when the general election is constitutionally due. Now, the minister did not say much about that crossing of timelines, but had this to say about how whichever party is in government will treat with this matter.
Former parliamentarian in the Bahamas, Marvin Dames, comments on the Commissioner of Police, Clayton Fernandez's statement regarding the two senior police officials who have been indicted in the United States. ZNS's Devante Hanna reports.
Former National Security Minister Marvin Dames says he's open to speaking to Commissioner of Police Clayton Fernandez on the recent bombshell U.S. indictment, but says there's not much he can do.
The unfortunate thing is I have nothing to offer simply because, this investigation is being led by a foreign agency outside of this country.
But Dames didn't hold back on what he calls a troubling situation. He says the fact that Bahamian officers were blindsided by the indictment could foreshadow damage to vital law enforcement partnerships.
An indictment like this, one has to ask whether that will bring an agreement like that into question, and whether we run the risk of losing it.
Tonight, he warns this case highlights a dangerous gap in communication and calls for immediate action to repair trust with those key allies.
Because when I served, we didn't have these kinds of issues, all right? But the fact that you ain't get nothing from your counterparts, who is supposed to be your partners, is very troubling.
The indictment implicating 3 Bahamian law enforcement officers in an alleged cocaine ring was released last week, adding to mounting concerns over public trust in the police force following a series of corruption allegations revealed this year. Though Commissioner Fernando in his national statement proposed sweeping reforms to address it, Dame says the top cop, along with the Davis administration, must take a stronger stance.
You're going to always have issues. Any large organizations, no large organization is devoid of its issues. You always have that. But you put the proper measures and the proper systems in place to mitigate as best you can against it. All right? And when you do find that you deal with it decisively.
As the fallout continues to grow, Commissioner Fernando announced on Sunday he is holding meetings with top officials as the force faces mounting scrutiny. For the Bombers Tonight, I'm Devontae Hanna.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick,
in association with our friends at
Antillian Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.
Trinidad and Tobago's Finance Minister Colm Imbert admits that energy transition will be a challenge for Trinidad and Tobago based on its current economic setup. Meanwhile, Angostura is looking forward to a rebound in sales after a rough 9 months in 2024. CNC3's Business Watch has some details with Peter Christopher.
Finance Minister Colm Imbert says Trinidad and Tobago will face a dilemma during the energy transition. The Finance Minister made this admission while addressing the launch of CAF's flagship report on Economic Development 2024 at the Central Bank Auditorium on Monday.
Trinidad and Tobago is an energy-based economy, and therefore we must be careful and prudent. And our energy transition must therefore be measured and sensible. We certainly cannot abandon the production of oil and gas, but what we can do is to reduce our carbon footprint, small as it is.
The Finance Minister notes that Trinidad and Tobago has been flagged for high emissions per capita, but still had a largely lower carbon footprint than many countries who are now advocating for a swift energy transition.
It is easy for spokespersons from advanced diversified economies to insist on the elimination of fossil fuels. And the extreme weather events affecting many countries in recent years makes this a clear and obvious imperative. But for countries that have few alternative sources of income, the future will be difficult.
Energy Minister Stuart Young also spoke at the launch, and he spoke on aspects of Trinidad and Tobago's renewable energy plans, which included the construction of a solar energy grid, as well as this country's investment into green hydrogen. Angostura is expecting a good Christmas in terms of sales. In its third quarter financials, Angostura saw a 10 million or 10% decline in profits compared to the corresponding period in 2023. This drop in profit was partially due to a 22.2 million decrease in revenue. However, Executive Manager Nigel Balcaran says there are indicators that there will be a rebound in the fourth quarter.
Well, actually, we've seen progress. You all have seen we had our challenges the first 9 months of the year, but we have seen a turnaround within the last couple of months. I think the support we have been getting globally as well as locally, I think people need to appreciate what an Angostura rum really represents. So we need to start building brands here locally, and we have seen that. The support, look at the crowd here today. So the support is definitely important to us.
Balcaran was speaking at the local leg of Angostura's Global Cocktail Challenge, which was held at Nube Nueve in Val Park on Tuesday afternoon. Balcaran confirms that the finals of the Global Cocktail Challenge in 2025 will be held in Trinidad and Tobago.
The St. Lucia Cuba Friendship Association joined Cuba in observing the memory of the revolutionary leader Fidel Castro on the 8th anniversary of his passing. Gina Felipe of HTS News Force reports.
Cuba's social and political history cannot be retold without revolutionary leader Fidel Castro. Castro, one of the world's longest-serving leaders, died of natural causes on November 25, 2016. Annually, the Since Lucia Cuba Friendship Association joins the Republic of Cuba in remembering the legacy and honoring the memory of the late leader. The association is preparing for a fundraising drive to assist those impacted by weather events.
We will call on one and all to make our fundraising drive a reality for Cuba as a sign of gratitude for all Cuba has done for us with their invaluable humanitarian acts and generosity. In closing, as we remember Fidel Castro and continue to miss his presence, let us not forget that the great leader is gone, but his memory will remain in our hearts forever. Viva Cuba! Viva! Viva Cuba!
Viva! Castro would have been 98 years old in 2024. Cuban ambassador to St. Lucia, Bernardo Sardina, says that the legacy of the historic leader is present in the international arena.
Since 1963, and I mentioned this year because it was the first year that Cubans sent doctors, medical brigade abroad to Algeria in that time. Since 1963, 789 Cuban collaborators in the health sector had writing page of heroism, solidarity, and dedication and professionalism in 42 African countries. And 14,000, I repeat, 14,542 have done so in 21 Caribbean territories.
St. Lucia and Cuba officially established ties on August 23, 1979. Ambassador of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, Liv Escalona, said that Fidel Castro's vision continues to light the way for individuals who want a just world.
Fidel was more than a leader. He was a beacon of hope for millions of people, not just in Cuba, but throughout Latin America and many corners of the planet. His rebellion against oppression was an example of resistance against imperialism, a symbol of human dignity in the face of the injustice of power.
Fidel Castro was the leader of Cuba for over 50 years, making him one of the world's longest-serving leaders. He is most remembered as the leader of the Cuban Revolution and the last emblematic communist leader. Gina Filippi, HDS News Force.
I am Eddie Frederick, wishing you a restful weekend. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean.
In the meantime, please follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel for daily regional news and more, in association with our friends at Antillian Group.
Believe in our strength, we'll stand by you. Protection from all perils, big and small. Reassurance we give, it's so glad to see. Peace of mind, that's our service guarantee. We look after all our family. Yes, we do at every opportunity.
Antillian Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.